Welcome to a social spreader on a Saturday. Wow, so try saying that fast 5 times. This is usually the time of the week where I do my segment, weekly reflections into hell. And again, because I was out of the country, because of my aforementioned beautiful, talented, amazing, accomplished, highly successful wife, this is going to be kind of a longer one. What I tend to do is what I want to try to do, at least with this segment, is I want to talk about a lot of stories that haven't gotten the traction that I think that they should. And when I look at all of these things and I find all of these stories, as I do have a degree kind of in journalism, I do appreciate a lot of things in regard to the news. I know in the divided states of America, we can't agree on anything, let alone facts or what is news. But what I try to find are some of the more headline type stories that haven't made headlines. And for whatever reason, I don't know why they haven't, but when I find these stories and I look at them, I truly say to myself, what the hell? What the hell is this country doing? What the hell is going on here? Hence the weekly reflections into hell. And so without further ado, let's jump right into that. So, tornadoes ripped through Kentucky and an Amazon warehouse. And because of Amazon's no cell phone policy, loved ones were not only not allowed to call their family to let them know, but as reports have come out, one person went to its manager and said, "Hey, there's a tornado coming. I'd like to go protect my family." And the manager responded with, "If you leave, you are fired." Yay, capitalism. And that person ended up losing his life. The last text that he sent to his wife said, "Hey, was just told that if I leave, I lose my job, and we can't afford that." But apparently, they can afford to lose his life. Meanwhile, Jeff the Baldy was throwing a party at his Beverly Hills house on Saturday night. Matthew McConaughey is a well-known white supremacist in the Pittsburgh area. He's also got a very long history of drug addiction. Was found to have planted bags of explosives at Black Lives Matter rallies all over the city of Pittsburgh over the last year and a half. He was sentenced to time served and 3 years probation because the white judge thought that his fight with drug addiction, which he served time for, was enough and that he deserved a more lenient sentence because apparently planting explosives at civil rights movements is okay if you're white. Curious what would have happened if he was black. In Idaho, a group of girls ranging from ages 12 to 16 were going around a neighborhood and placing thankful turkeys on people's doors. They were doing this as a part of a spreading holiday cheer thing for their church. They would leave heartfelt notes on the people's houses, and they would knock on their doors and say happy holidays. And as I said, it was for their church. That's when Sheriff Craig Rowland stormed out of his house, armed with his handgun, pointed the gun at the frightened group of girls, again, ranging from ages 12 to 16. He then proceeded to drag their youth church leader out of her car by her hair, pointed the gun at the side of her head, and threatened to execute her. He has been charged with felony aggravated assault. When asked why he did that, he said, and I quote, "He was trying to defend his house against the Indians that live nearby." PSA to all of the people in this country, there are no Indians in this country, regardless of what the baseball team in Cleveland tells you. Christopher Columbus was a murdering colonizer who was lost and thought he was in India. They are Native Americans. There are no Indians in America. Michael Steinhardt stole 180 pieces of art valued at over $70 million, and he will face no jail time, no probation, no community service. His sentence is that he's not allowed to collect art anymore. He operates a hedge fund with a net worth of about $900 million. And of course, he's white. Speaking of white, a Chicago drug dealer, a white 17-year-old, was given probation after stabbing 15-year-old Elias Valdez to death over 4 grams of pot. The judge, white man Stephen Bernstein, said he didn't want to ruin this young man's life because he's a bright kid with a bright future. The divided states of America has finally reached its pinnacle of bullshit capitalism, as a minimum wage earner can no longer afford a 2-bedroom apartment anywhere in the country. In the city of Baytown, Texas, you know how much I love Texas, a mother was holding a vigil for her son who was killed inside his home a few weeks prior. An unknown person drove by and fired shots into the crowd, killing 1 and injuring 14. And last name Abbott, first name Wheelchair, I don't know, said we still don't have a gun problem in this country. In Colorado, truck driver Raquel Aguilera Maderos was sentenced to 110 years in prison because his brakes went out, causing him to crash into other drivers, killing 4 people. He was not drunk. He was not high. He did not have any malicious intent. But because of the bullshit Colorado law, his minimum sentence is 110 years. And the judge didn't even allow any deliberation for the jury. Meanwhile, in South Dakota, an arena is holding a Dash for Cash, where teachers get on their hands and knees and fight for dollar bills that they get to use in their classrooms. So instead of funding classrooms for teachers, they have to go and humiliate themselves in a South Dakota arena. Thought this was a good time to remind all of my droves and millions of followers and listeners that the defense budget currently in this coward of a country is $768 billion. But teachers have to fight amongst themselves for dollar bills, for crayons, pencils, and erasers. Again, what the hell is going on here? And speaking of hell, white supremacist trash troll incarnate Marjorie Taylor Greene. Let's do some lines. So we're going to take a look at the college football games here today. If you have the over in the Western Kentucky game, bravo. Last time I checked, it was 24-all, and it wasn't even halftime yet. So we're going to take a look at the 5 games that are remaining on the schedule for this Saturday. Today's the 18th. And we're going to start with UTEP at Fresno. Sorry, I keep on saying at. UTEP Fresno. And the one thing that I wanted to look at here is whenever you've got 2 teams that are on a neutral field, think of it as an away game. I believe this is in Frisco, Texas. So UTEP is, I guess, ipso facto, the home team. UTEP is 7-5 against the spread this year, while Fresno's 8-4. However, against the spread on the road, UTEP is 3-3. Against the spread on the road, Fresno's 5-1, and they are on a tear. They have won 5 of their last 6. They have the last 2 games. They've crushed San Jose State and New Mexico, while UTEP lost to UAB, Northern Texas, UTSA, and Florida Atlantic. They have dropped 4 of their last 5. I think a good lean would be Fresno on the points. Right now you can get it right around 11. If it goes to 12, I would be a little wary. I don't know if 2 touchdowns is really worth it. But if you can get it anything under 12, I think for Fresno and the run that they're on, and I do think they're just a superior team, I think that's a really good lean. The next game that we're going to look at is one that's very intriguing. It's UAB BYU. Now, The Cougars are 10-2 straight up. UAB's 8-4. BYU those 5-7 against the spread. UAB's 9-3. Right now you can get UAB as a 7-point dog, 6.5. But here's what I want you to look at. Once again, how are teams on the road? Okay, because this you have to treat these as a road game. UAB is 5-1 against the spread on the road, while BYU is 1-4. I think that's all that I need to know. And plus, UAB has been a cash cow this year, going 9-3 against the spread, one of the higher marks in the country. So I do think with 6.5 to 7 points in your pocket, I think UAB is a really good lean here. The next game is Eastern Michigan against Liberty. These teams are kind of hard to get a feel for because Eastern Michigan's 5-7 against the spread, while Liberty's 6-6. The over/under is 58. Now, on the road, Liberty's 1-4-1 to the under. So I do think maybe the under would be a good lean here. Overall, each of these teams are more leaning towards the under. Eastern Michigan's 5-7 to the under, while Liberty's 4-7-1 on the under. Eastern Michigan, yes, that's who they are. They are a 500 team over/under on the road. They're 3-3, while again Liberty's 1-4-1 to the under on the road. And I just think that maybe the under. Take a good look at the under. But what's kind of hard with this game is each of these teams average 30, so we're at 60 now. From what I'm seeing right now, the over/under is right around 58.5. So this might be a pass. I do think a little lunch money, perhaps maybe a little Happy Meal money on the under would be worth it, just to kind of get a little piece of the pie. But honestly, who gives a shit about Eastern Michigan and Liberty? The next game is one that I'm actually really excited for. It's Utah State, Oregon State. And the reason why is this. Utah State was an extremely complicated team. Most of the time when it comes to elevation or teams who are home in the mountains, they tend to be very good at home. Utah State was 3-3 straight up and against the spread. But on the road, they were 6-1 against the spread and 7-0 straight up. They didn't lose. They literally didn't lose on the road. While Oregon State is 1-5 straight up and 1-5 against the spread. And right now, Oregon State's a 7-point favorite. I like Utah State. I think Utah State's a really good lean. 7 points with them. They just got finished. I believe they crushed. They just crushed San Diego State. And San Diego State's a good club. They're a good team. Utah State's also 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games. So I think Utah State with 7 points in your pocket is a good lay. The other thing too that I wanted to look at. So this is kind of tricky because whenever a head coach leaves a team, you obviously are going to have questions about motivation, about morality. Not morality, but like the morale of the team. How are they feeling? Are they happy? Are they not? Louisiana Lafayette's coach has left. He's I believe he took the Florida job. And so Louisiana Lafayette might have a problem with or they might do the opposite. It might be a rallying cry, and it might actually galvanize the team. But the reason why we're looking at this one is because the over/under right now is 56, okay? These teams average right around 60. So you got a 4-point differential in between what these teams average and the over/under. Louisiana Lafayette is 3-10 on the under this year. Take the under. It's served me well all year. Granted, this is coming from someone who's won 10 times with Louisiana in the under. They are 12-1 overall. They're 6-7 though against the spread. Marshall, who they're playing, is also 6-6. Marshall's really good on the road. They're 5-1 against the spread on the road. So if you want any action on this, I would seriously consider looking at the under. These teams are a combined 9-16 to the under, whereas Marshall's 6-6 over under. That's a fucking coin flip. But with Louisiana Lafayette and the defense that they have and their propensity to hit the under, I do think that would be a very good lean here. So just wanted to do a quick college football type of a rundown on these games. Again, I hope you've got Western Kentucky in the over right now. I'm sorry, I hope you have the under in that game. If you can get them live anywhere, you might want to consider looking at the over, as these teams don't look like they're going to stop a nosebleed today. So whatever action you have, hope this was helpful. Good luck with your bets.